Alright guys, welcome to my Dashware video overlay tutorial for the APM uh, Pixhawk platform. Um, I'm sure many of you would like to put some telemetry overlay over their videos, but cannot do that. And the reason for that is that the structure of the APM log file is a little bit different to others, and Dashware, the in my opinion best tool to put overlay on live footage from your plane or copter or whatever, Dashware is the best tool to create those overlays. And the problem is Dashware does not understand APM log files. So what can we do? Um, Actually, it's rather complicated, but I think it's should be possible for you after you've watched this short tutorial. I'd like to start with this video. It's a video that I created on my TwinStar Pixhawk platform. As you can see, there's a lot of telemetry data overlaid on this video. You can see, for example, if this goes away now, vertical speed, altitude about sea level, air pressure, Pixhawk temperature, the energy that has been used, number of satellites, voltage, current, heading, speed in kilometers per hour, or the actual altitude. How does the APM log work? It's pretty much so that all the sensors that you want or that you activated to get logged get one line of sensor data, and then there's the next sensor and the next and the next, and if one cycle is completed, it goes to the first sensor and same again. And this is the actual problem for Dashware, because Dashware wants to have a log where there's one column for the time, one column for, let's say, GPS location, one column for altitude, one column for speed, one column for whatever. And so what you have to do is pull the, let's say, GPS data or the current data or whatever from this log file and put it in a new log file that consists only of yeah, let's say current data. And this is what we're going to do with Excel. So yeah, what are we gonna need? First, you are going, or you should download Dashware, and for that you just go to dashware.net and you go to download and you just download it. I think it's Windows only, but I'm not sure. Mac users might want to correct me. So this is Dashware. I love it. It gives you a ton of ways to put telemetry overlays on your videos. It's pretty much everything is customizable. You can put logs from almost any device in there if you create your own import filter, which is not that complicated. Sad thing is it is not being developed anymore. It got bought by GoPro a few years ago, last year or whatever, and yeah, they don't develop it anymore. But the good thing about it is that it's for free now. So you can download it, and we're coming back to this later after we have created our log. So how do we create our log? First thing, in the APM or Pixhawk platform, there's this parameter called log bit mask, I guess, and there you can choose how much of your flight is actually being logged. And how much you want to log actually depends on the platform and the processor it uses. So the Pixhawk is able to log pretty much, not everything, but really a lot of data onto your SD card, while the APM is not. So on the APM you should try to yeah, just log the really important data, because its processor is not fast enough. For the Pixhawk, for me, pretty good solution is to log almost all, and for that you should go to the log bitmask value, and here are values that you can enter. I'm using nearly all, which is 45054, and pretty much works for me. So now you have your log created. You want to transfer it to your PC. If you can remove the SD card from your plane or copter, that's great, because it's the fastest way. Just copy the bin file somewhere and go on from there. If it's more complicated to get to the SD card, you just want to connect your plane or copter to the PC. Hit connect, then you go to data flash logs, then you go to download data flash log via mavlink, and you select the log. Obviously I'm not connected, but if you are, here will be here the log files will be displayed, and you just select the one you need to download. Afterwards you are going to find it in a folder, and it's the mission planner folder, and there will be subfolders called fixed wing or hexarotor or quadrotor. Let's go for the fixed wing in this example, and if you have only one plane, it's going to be 1, and there will be several logs, for example R logs, if you're using live telemetry via 433 megahertz, for example. But the thing you're going to look for is a log file, actually, and this is a log file, a text file. If you're choosing the way to copy via SD card, the log file will just have a number like 23.bin, and in that case you will have to convert it by choosing this option, px4 bin to log. Just hit it, and you go for your folder again. Let's see, for example hexarotor, and then you just select one. Let's take this one, and it's going to convert it. So now we have a log file in that folder, and the log file is the file that we have to import into Excel. So I've opened a new sheet for Excel. Now I want to import the data. For bigger log files you might want to use the 64-bit version of Excel, because the 32-bit version gets errors if log files are bigger than, I don't know what, like 8 or 10 megabytes. And my plain log files are pretty much larger, because yeah, it obviously can fly that long, and I'm logging very much data. So what are we going to do? You create this new sheet, you go to data, and you go to import from text, and then you going to find the file. Let's see, fixed wing, and I want to see all log files. Yeah, so we could use this one. This is rather large, but doesn't matter. Now you have to tell Excel how this file works so that Excel can put the correct data in a column. And it's not fixed, but it's delimited with a character, and then you go for comma, and here you see it's already pretty much sorted out like we want it, and so we can just hit finish. Just hit OK and wait a bit. Of course you need a fast computer for this, otherwise you're gonna have to wait. Alright, so this is the log file, and as you can see there is tons of data. Yeah, so what you can see here is the center that is being logged at this point of time, for example the barometer, and those are values that are being stored for the barometer. I'm not going deeper into what exactly is being logged because that would take very long, and I've prepared the necessary import files so that you don't have to care about that, and yeah, it's going to be pretty easy. So, but what do we have to do? So for example, if you want to extract the GPS data, you wanna mark this first column, and you go for filter, and you see this little mark here, and you click it, and you deselect all, and then you go for GPS. You hit OK, and see, it's all GPS data. This is probably the position, and then there are things like speed, heading, and whatever. So now, what are we going to do with this GPS data? I have created, as I mentioned before, some files to import this data into so that you don't have to do it. This helps because those files fit to templates that I created for Dashware, and there's already calculations in there. For example, for measuring the distance from takeoff, which Dashware doesn't do that easily. This is all being taken care of in Excel. So I'm going to open this file. So this is the folder that you will be able to download. I'm going to put the link in the description below. And yeah, obviously we want to go for log GPS, and you just open it. And what you can see here is the name for those columns. I chose those names for me to find them again in the Dashware template. So the first three columns you don't really need them, and there's time raw. This depends if you're flying plane or copter. In plane it is, from what I interpret, the time after booting your APM or Pixhawk, and in copter it's the time after arming, and it's in microseconds. No relevant data. Then we have satellite count, strength in HDOP, position, altitude, absolute altitude, above sea level, speed, heading, and vertical speed. those speeds are in meters per second. And two columns are being calculated by Excel. Why is that? At first it's distance. This is distance from takeoff. It's a handy feature to be able to show this data in your video. The term for this is rather complex, or at least it's looking like this. Actually it's not. It took me about 2 hours or so to find out how to put it right. Very important column is time, because Dashware really needs the time to be able to synchronize the data with your video stream. And the time data that comes from the APM or Pixhawk, it's nothing Dashware can interpret. So what this column does, it just translates Pixhawk time into seconds after boot or ARM. So let's see how this works. We go back to our original GPS data, and you want to go just in the upper left of your sheet, then you go all the way down, then you hold left shift on your keyboard, which you actually of course cannot see, but I'm doing, and do a left click here, so all your data is copied. Then you hit copy, go back to the GPS sheet, and this is in German, but what it tells you is that you should paste the data into line 3. So you want to go here and just hit where is it? Paste. Bam. So there's the data. Okay, so many of you probably, like myself, are asking themselves now, okay, so you said those two parameters have to be calculated, so I probably have to pull this all the way down, and it takes minutes and hours and whatever, and it takes forever and it sucks. This is how I did it for almost a year, until I went into an Excel forum and actually found out that I'm rather stupid, and it's really not that annoying. So what you want to do is just mark those two fields and just double click here, and what you see is time after boot, distance from takeoff. As I go down data, you see this is where the plane is still in my hand, and this is where it starts, and this is the time. And you want to go down all the way to the bottom, because for reasons that have to do with this complex term for distance calculations, the last entry is a huge number that doesn't make any sense, and that is not good for Dashware. So either you delete this whole row, or you just put in a number manually here, like 17 meters from takeoff. Alright, and now you have your GPS data ready for Dashware. Now you have to save it, and for saving you go to File, and you go to Save As, and obviously I have to go to Browse, and maybe I'm just gonna throw it into here, and I have to give it a name, log GPS for tutorial, and the file format is important, and you want to go for CSV MS-DOS, like this, and you hit save, and then it tells you, do you want to keep using that format, and you want to go for yes, and that's pretty much it. Alright, the thing is, this is only the GPS data, and depending on what kind of data you want to have in your video, you have to do that for other types of data. The things I can offer you with those templates, that was the word I was looking for, those templates is the attitude. This is nice if you want to see how your copter or plane is rolling or pitching. Barometer, this contains temperature, pressure, and that's pretty much it. Current gives you obviously the current, battery voltage, GPS we already had. IMU is I only use it for G-forces. So if you use this template, you have to import the IMU data, and you can actually see the G-forces in your plane or copter. Mode gives you the number of the current mode, like stabilize or return to launch or manual or whatever, but I haven't found a good way to import it into Dashware, so maybe you don't want to use it. And then there's wind, and the interesting thing about wind is that if you use wind, you can, it's only for Ardu plane, not copter obviously, and if using wind you can see the speed of the wind, where it is coming from, and you can compare it to the yaw um, of your plane, which gives you a feeling of what's your heading and what's your true heading. So if you have a strong wind coming from the side, your heading might be different to the, or will be different to the true heading, because the nose of the plane will go into the wind, and the plane is going to fly kind of sideways. But enough of that. If you want to have, let's say, the current data, once again, very shortly, you open the current template and you go back to your to your data file. You have to remove the filter, and then you go for current, obviously. Now you have the current data. Again, just mark everything here, copy it. I use the keyboard now, and you go for your current file. Again, you want to hit row 3, enter all the data, paste it, mark those 3 columns, double click here, which is rather annoying because of this. Double click here and you have all the data you need. Save it like I showed you before. Alright, now over to Dashware. Alright, over to Dashware. To use the data you just created, you have to use data profiles in Dashware, because otherwise it won't understand your APM data. I created those profiles, and you also find them in the link below, and you just have to copy them into this folder. So you go to your Windows drive, users, your username, documents, Dashware, data profiles, and this is where you just throw them in, right? And you're ready to use those data profiles. Another thing that you might want to use, but you don't have to, is templates for Dashware, which already give you the gauges and numbers and whatever sorted out on your screen, and you can pretty much start from there and remove them, change them, and whatever. Um, so I'm gonna give you those three, and maybe we're gonna start, or we should now start with one of them. So what you're gonna do is, so we go for a new project, and we use a template. Let's say the complete yaw and wind and attitude G-force template. Stupid name, I know. And we give it a name, tutorial, and you see there's already the template. So next thing we're gonna need is a video, and this is a video that I created with my plane. That's obviously me. And now we are going to need data files, and you just want to hit data file plus, you go for browse, and then you have to find those files, which can be rather annoying, but I think I know where they are. So in this case it's all the files that start with 911, and the order in which you import them doesn't matter. When creating the Excel files, you should think about how to name them, just to be able to find them afterwards. So let's start with a current file, and after that you have to tell Dashware what kind of data that is, and those are the ones you imported, and it's current, and so you add it, and ta-da, it's there. Then you go for the other ones, IMU, this is for the G-forces. Alright, and fast forward, this is with everything imported. What you still have to do is synchronization, which I already performed here, but I think I should tell you how to do that. So I unsync, let's say, the current. The thing is, Dashware doesn't know when how to synchronize the data with your video stream, because for obvious reasons the video stream can start whenever you push record, and the the log file begins with arming or booting the Pixhawk or APM. So how do I do that? The first thing you want to make sure is you go to project, and you want to make sure that, let's say, the current gauge over here has the right data source, and to take a look at that, you go here, and here you see it's this is the gauge that I just selected. You double click, and you see you're gonna have to tell them what file to use. Obviously it's the current file, and then what data value. In this case it's current average. You could also use current, but I created this value. It doesn't jump around that much. It's the average, and it just looks nicer. And you go for current average, hit OK, and you most of the time you have to do that for those parameters too. You'll see if they don't move, if they show wrong numbers, you just go into, for example, for this box here, you go into the data listing, and then there is the vertical speed, and of course it's in the GPS file, and you want to go for true vertical speed and so on, battery voltage, air temperature, whatever. I guess you figure that out, and I don't want to make this any longer as it already is. So back to synchronization. So it's unsynced now. If I start it, you see it's not moving at all, and if I sync it with the video, it's synced, but it's wrong. And this could be right, but if I go back here with the video, you see I'm still on the ground. I have 30 amps, so this can't be right. So how to do this? Actually, it's rather simple. What I usually do is I listen for the motors, because if the motors start, current is being drawn and this thing goes up. So what I'm gonna do is, with this here you can change the point of time of the telemetry data, or the current in this case. You can do the synchronization with pretty much every data source you have, but I like to start with the current, and I go to the beginning until there is, this looks like the start, until there is no current, and then you can move forward, and it takes a long time. We should move forward here, there you go. So this is obviously where the motor starts. See? Right. So that's at 1:15, and now I have to put the video to the point where the motor starts. This is too late. Should be around 29 seconds. Let's say 29.6. And if I'm at the point where motor start here and motor start there are perfectly synchronized, I hit sync with the video and go a little back and check it out. Looks pretty good. Yes, makes sense. So now you have to do this for all the other data files too, but this is easier now, because what you're gonna do is you just set the others, you just go to any point in the video, basing on the current which we just synchronized. So let's take this point, and you go for, let's say, the wind, and I desynchronize it. Okay, back to current, and I have to go for 4 or 9.0 pretty much. Back to wind, 409. I think for wind it's not that important. I go sync with video and it's done. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, you will certainly find, or you probably have some other data that you want to put in here. If the data is within the data profiles that I created, it's gonna be pretty easy for you. If you need other parts of the Pixhawk or APM log, it's going to be a bit more complicated. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you like it, and if you like it, push the little button